Don't Look Up is an apocalyptic dark comedy by Adam McKay starring an amazing cast including Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, and Meryl Streep. The movie starts in an astronomy university lab in Michigan, where Kate DiBiase, a PhD student portrayed by Jennifer Lawrence, discovers a comet. She gets super excited and informs her PhD advisor. Her advisor, Professor Randall Mindy, portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio, gathers everyone in the lab to celebrate the discovery. Everyone is excited and happy until Randall decides to calculate how close the comet will get to our planet. After doing the calculation, Randall gets super nervous and asks everyone except Kate to leave. Their calculation shows that the comet will hit our planet in exactly 6 months and 14 days. And due to the size of the comet, it is going to destroy the entire life on the planet. Kind of the same thing that happened to dinosaurs a million years ago. They call NASA to inform them about the comet and their calculations. After some initial resistance and doubt, finally they get connected to Dr. Teddy Oglethorpe from NASA, portrayed by Rob Morgan, who understands the seriousness of the issue and asks Kate and Randall to fly to DC immediately to talk to the president about the comet. They get to DC using a military jet to meet with the president, and then they get to the White House. Teddy Oglethorpe and a general from Pentagon are there to greet them. They all wait the entire day to meet with the president, but their meeting gets pushed back over and over again. Finally, the president's chief of staff, Jason, portrayed by Jonah Hill, asks them to go home and come back the next day. They later learn that the president is currently in the middle of a crisis because of a new sexual scandal about her nominee for the Congress. We also get to see Randall's family for the first time when he's talking to them on the phone that night. He has a super nice and kind wife and 2 teenage sons. After a very stressful night, Kate, Randall, and Teddy are back in the White House the next day, and they finally get a chance to meet the president. The president, portrayed by the one and only Meryl Streep, is pretty distracted and has no idea what the topic of this conversation will be. She gives them 20 minutes to say whatever they want to say. Randall, who is very nervous, tries to explain the issue in scientific terms, maybe too scientific. And that's where Jason, the president's chief of staff, and her son says he's bored and asks Randall to stop. Kate jumps in and explains that there is a comet headed directly toward Earth and it's going to destroy life in our planet in about 6 months. Surprisingly, at first, the president and her son try to downplay the seriousness of the situation by saying that Randall and his team are probably wrong, and even worse, by questioning the quality of the astronomy program at Michigan State. At this point, Teddy assures the president that the threat is in fact very real and points out that there are government plans in place for such a scenario, such as drones filled with nukes that can potentially deflect the comet. And in response, President points out that the midterm election is in 3 weeks, and the news cannot be made public before then because her party may lose the election. And until then, they should just sit tight and assess. After the White House blew them off, the gang, Randall, Kate, and Teddy, decides to leak the subject to the press. The next scene takes us to a totally different place and introduces a new important character to the story, Peter Isherwell, portrayed by Mark Rylance. Peter is an Elon Musk type of a character. He is the founder and CEO of a company called Bash, which is a tech giant in this movie. And in this scene, he introduces Bash's newest phone that supposedly has the ability to understand users' feelings. When the show is over, in the backstage, Peter gets notified about the comet. he receives the same pictures that Randall and the team gave to the president. The next scene takes us to the office of a newspaper where Randall and Kate are talking to reporters about the comet. Reporters suggest that Randall and Kate should start their journey of leaking the subject to the press by talking about this news live on a morning show. The two hosts of this show are Bree, portrayed by Cate Blanchett, and Jack, portrayed by Tyler Perry. Interestingly, around the same time, everyone in social media are interested in some other news. A famous celebrity couple has just broken up. Riley Bina, portrayed by Ariana Grande, and DJ Cello, portrayed by Kid Cudi. And Riley Bina appears on the same show at the same day, right before Randall and Kate tell everyone that the world is ending. But in a very quote-unquote dramatic series of events, the celebrity couple gets back together on the show and decides to marry each other. And right after that, the whole social media gets super excited and happy for them, and everyone is talking about them. Right after this dramatic show, it's Randall and Kate's turn. Randall tries his best to explain very clearly how badly the comet is going to damage the Earth. But the hosts of the show keep making jokes and laugh about it, until Kate gets super angry and lashes out. She gets very emotional and tells them that the whole planet is about to be destroyed and we are all going to die. After the show ends, Kate and Randall are back in the newspaper office, and they realize that not only their message did not come across, but Kate is now a meme as a crazy person. On the other hand, the internet apparently very much liked Randall because they think he's a very sexy scientist. As if that was not bad enough, the journalists from the newspaper tell them that since the head of NASA has just announced that the whole thing about the comet is just a hysteria, they will be no longer supporting Randall and Kate on the subject. They quickly look up the head of NASA and realize that she's not an astronomer, and of course she is a super donor to the president's campaign. But that doesn't change the decision of the newspaper to stop supporting them. Few weeks after that, another scandal surfaces for the president. A photo of the president's private part that she had sent to her Senate nominee got leaked. And apparently they have been having an affair for years. After this scandal, the president asked Randall, Kate, and Terry to come back to the White House. To be precise, they all get arrested by FBI and brought back to the White House. The president tells the three of them that she has decided to act on the comet and mobilize to save the planet. Kate points out that the president is doing it only because she knows that she is going to lose the election because of the new scandal. But no matter what the motivation of the president is, Randall, Kate, and Terry get super excited and happy that the White House is finally doing something. Soon after, the president publicly announces that the comet's threat is real and that the United States of America is going to send out shuttles to blow the comet off its course. And of course, as the president expected, this decision results in her party winning the midterm election. And of course, conspiracy theories start to emerge everywhere. Is the comet a hoax? On the other hand, Randall Mindy quickly becomes a national hero. We also see that Randall is going back to the morning show with Bree and Jack to support the president's plan for destroying the comet. In this visit, we see that Bree is coming on to him. And later they start to hook up. Randall seems a bit hesitant at the beginning, but he quickly starts to show interest. Their relationship is mainly sexual, as Bree does not seem to be a relationship type of a person. We finally reach to the launch day. The United States of America is launching a huge number of drones and rockets to destroy the comet. The president, Randall, Kate, Teddy, the president's sons Jason, and a bunch of other people are in the control room watching the launch in real time. At this very moment, Peter Isherwell, the CEO of Bash, the giant tech company, walks into the room. It turns out that since he is a platinum level donor to the campaign, he has full clearance to enter any room in the White House. The launch happens successfully without losing a single rocket. Everyone is super excited and starts to celebrate. But then, at this very moment, Peter Isherwell asks the president to exit the room and talk to him in private. After a couple of minutes, the president returns to the room and notifies everyone that she has just received some critical information concerning this mission. We then see the view of the people and reporters who are watching the launch outside, and they all realize that all the rockets are suddenly turning around. Even the tech team who is controlling the operation has no idea what the hell just happened. We then see Randall, Kate, and Teddy are locked in a room in the White House, and they also have no idea what has happened and why the mission was aborted. Then Jason, the chief of staff and president's son, walks into the room and asks only Randall to attend the meeting, as he is the chief science advisor to the White House from now on. When Randall goes to the meeting, he realizes that it was Peter Isherwell who has decided to abort the mission. He is that powerful. And the reason was simply because his team has realized that the comet contains $1 trillion worth of minerals that can benefit tech companies. Now Peter and Bash's plan is to launch their own space mission. By sending a giant robot to the space and split the comet into 30 smaller pieces, and then they will be able to use the minerals while the comet will no longer be a threat to the planet. Peter actually tells everyone that this comet then will be able to end world hunger and social injustice and create millions of jobs. After the meeting, Randall runs back to Kate and Teddy and tells them about this new plan by Bash and the White House. Randall himself is a bit skeptical of the plan, but at the same time he is super impressed by the presentation and some of the big names that are supporting Bash's proposal. However, Kate and Teddy are pretty sure that this is going to be a big mistake and a huge failure, which will result in destroying the life in our planet, because none of this work is actually scientifically proven. When their argument gets heated, people in the restaurant realize that they are talking about the comet and demand more information. That's where Kate, who is super pissed, tells them that a bunch of rich people have found some rare expensive materials in the comet, and now they're letting it hit the planet to make them even richer. This leads to a huge riot on the streets. And then Kate gets arrested for violation of national security secrets. She later gets released with the promise of suspending all of her public media appearances and not talking about the comet or the Bash Cellular Company. Funny enough, even after she is released, when she gets home, her parents forbid her to talk quote-unquote politics in the house and tells her that they are all for the jobs that the comet is going to create. We then see that the government is running a huge campaign to obtain support from people on their decision about the comet, with the message that the comet will create millions of jobs. And we see TV ads that show that Randall is also helping the government. Randall also continues cheating on her wife with Bree, but he finally gets caught when her wife travels to DC. They get into a fight that ends in June, Randall's wife leaving him. The next scene introduces a new character. We see that Kate is now living a low-profile life as a cashier, and a bunch of Generation Z kids, including Yule, portrayed by Timothée Chalamet, recognize her at the store. Turns out that these kids are big fans of Kate, mainly because of her outburst on TV. and Yule asks Kate to come hang out with them. Later, we see that the president, Randall, and Peter are getting a tour of the giant robot that is going to split the comet into pieces. Peter is excited and happy. But Randall is getting more and more concerned about the project because many people from the scientific community are now being removed from the project simply for asking questions. Peter gets mad at Randall for bringing up that issue, and then the president yells at Randall too. We also see that Kate and Yule are starting to hook up and bond over their hatred for the government and giant corporations such as Bash. And this is all happening while there is only 25 days until the disaster. At this time, Randall's doubt and skepticism of the plan grows so much that he cannot control it anymore. He gets super mad when he's on the morning show and tells everyone on TV that the government does not know what they're doing and this plan is surely going to fail and everyone is going to die. And of course, same as Kate, he gets arrested after that, and same as Kate, he promises that he will no longer make public appearances. A few nights after that, the comet finally gets so close to the Earth that people start to see it on the sky. Randall calls Kate, who is also looking at the sky and is excited. Now everyone is looking up because the comet cannot be denied anymore. Randall and Kate gets together and starts a campaign called Just Look Up to get the support of people to get the president and Bash's attention. And they manage to get the support from some celebrities including Riley Bina, portrayed by Ariana Grande from earlier in the movie. On the other side, the president and Bash start a campaign called Don't Look Up, asking people not to listen to Randall and Kate. And of course, many people believe and support them. We then hear a beautiful, beautiful live performance by Ariana Grande and Kid Cudi, of course as their characters in the movie. A song called Just Look Up, and it is in support of Randall and Kate's Just Look Up movement. Although the Just Look Up movement gains some support, but still the president and Bash are far more powerful to be stopped. Unfortunately, at this time, a space mission run by China, Russia, and India to destroy the comet also fails. So the only hope to save the planet is now the Bash mission. Or in other words, there is no hope for saving the planet. So they just give up. We then see Randall, Kate, and Yule driving to Michigan, Randall's home state, because he wants to patch things up with her wife, June, before the world ends. Yule proposes to Kate in the car, and she says yes. More of a whatever the world is ending anyway, sort of a yes, but it's still pretty sweet. When Randall gets home, he asks her wife for her forgiveness. And thankfully, June forgives Randall and they all go in for a last dinner together. At the same time, the president and her son and Peter Isherville are in the Bash headquarters, waiting for the launch of their mission. When the mission starts, we see that some of the rockets fail and explode. The mission does not look promising, and everyone except Peter are pretty nervous. Back in Randall's house in Michigan, they have a great time and they are preparing dinner together. Everyone seems pretty chill and relaxed. They also turn off the TV to disconnect themselves from the world. Even Teddy joins them for the last dinner and everyone is happy to see him. We are then back in the Bash headquarters where more drones are failing. And at the end, although some of the drones successfully attach themselves to the comet, they fail to explode synchronously. And the comet stays almost intact. Back in Randall's house, they have a warm and nice family dinner together. And most importantly, Randall and June are all good now and June has completely forgiven Randall. Back at the Bash's headquarters, it's now apparent to everyone that the mission has failed. Peter still looks pretty calm and he tells everyone that he is going to go to the bathroom. The president also follows him and says she's going to the bathroom as well and leaves Jason behind. After that, everyone panics and starts leaving the place to be with their families. We then see the president and Peter on a helicopter. The president calls Randall to let him know that they are getting on a spaceship to escape the planet. The ship is set to find the nearest Earth-like planet, and the 2,000 passengers on it are going to rebuild human civilization there. She offers Randall 2 spots on the ship, but he refuses the offer and decides to stay with the whole family for the last dinner. The next scene is probably the most powerful and emotional scene of the movie. Everyone at Randall's home are saying what they are grateful for. Kate is grateful that they tried their best. Then, although no one except Yule is religious, they decide to pray and say Amen. Yule volunteers and says prayers for everyone. And while we listen to his prayers, we see a beautiful yet terrifying view of the comet coming toward the Earth. After that emotional scene, we are back in the real world when we see everyone is panicking. We see dramatic scenes of people's last moments on the planet. Bree and Jack from the morning show are in a bar alone drinking their last drinks as they know they're going to die soon. And finally, we see that the comet hits the Earth. While a sad but beautiful music is in the background, we continue seeing dramatic scenes from around the globe on how people are reacting. Back in Randall's house, they have a very normal conversation. While they all feel an earthquake, they decide to ignore it and continue their conversation. At the end of this conversation, Randall says that we really did everything, didn't we? And they continue their dinner in silence. Only a few seconds after that, we see in slow motions how the whole house gets destroyed. With the sad music in the background, we see Teddy's face, Randall's face, and Kate's face before they all die simultaneously. After that dark moment, we see the spaceship that contains the president and 2,000 billionaires and lobbyists and powerful people moving away safely from the planet. The movie then takes us to 23,000 years later when the spaceship finally finds the closest Earth-like planet. The passengers are all in a deep sleep mode and the ship, but they all automatically wake up after they land on this beautiful new planet. Peter is in control, of course, and he's quite excited about this new planet. Then they realize that there are other living things on this planet. When the president tries to approach one of these bird-like animals, she gets killed by it. That doesn't seem to scare Peter at all, and he still seems to be in control. He just tells everyone not to pet these creatures. And the very last scene of the movie shows Jason, that seems to be the last person who is alive on the planet. He takes a selfie video of himself and asks the world to like and subscribe. And that's the end of this amazing movie.